Like you said, in the short term, it's so easy to go for that kind of fast clicks, sensationalistic headlines content. It'll get you the attention that the digital economy thinks is valuable. But that's only in the short term. I think in the long term, a lot of those folks end up losing credibility. And I wonder if, as we wrap up here, if you can kind of just speak to, as a journalist, like how important it is to have those principles you're talking about letting the story guide you, having that curiosity, following the facts, asking the right questions. When you do that consistently and audiences notice, I think that transitions into credibility, which I would argue is probably the most important aspect that you look for in a journalist is, are they giving it to me straight? Is this someone I can trust? Can you talk a little bit about that, about credibility for journalists, specifically for young journalists thinking about getting into the field?
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. I mean, one thing as journalists, and I'm sure you've dealt with this, that we struggle with is always a challenge is to kind of build that trust. There's always that crossing that barrier when you're dealing with sources, when you're dealing with, whether it's government officials or industry officials, whether they really trust you to at least try to get it straight or get it right, to do your best to get it right, to do your best to get it fair. And if they know you're really playing straight with them and you're doing your best to be fair, they're more likely to work with you, even when the news you're reporting isn't necessarily to their advantage. Like with my newsletter, I call it Martinez News and Views. It's probably 80 to 90% news, but I do sprinkle with views, and sometimes some of the views I share can be kind of hard hitting in terms of people I deal with on a regular basis in town. But I found that local officials, even people in the industry, they know that I'm trying to be fair. I'm trying to get both sides. They know as a citizen, I'll go to city council meetings and school board meetings and I'll express my points of views in a very sharp manner because I'm a member of this community and I have a stake in what happens. But they know when I go to write it up, I'm going to present both sides, and I'm going to not try to shove my own views down people's throats. And I think that's kind of helped me with my credibility. I don't want to speak for them; they can speak for themselves. But I think that, being outside daily journalism, you kind of have a different perspective, and you can step outside. Like with any industry, I think when you're in law enforcement, say, and you're a cop your whole life, you see things a certain way, and you can be very entrenched in the culture of your line of work and the idea of what's right and wrong. But when you're actually out of that, you can step back a little bit and see maybe a bigger picture. Well, that's kind of been true for me with journalism. And I've been able to kind of see, too, as I've been away from daily journalism, I can kind of, relate or understand a little bit more about why sometimes people were frustrated with how we went about our business because they felt like, we had at times, whether it was a profit driven motive, or just in terms of trying to get the juiciest story, we can, trying to play gotcha, those are all things that you kind of encounter when you're dealing in the business. And part of it's just kind of the beast. You have a different role than they have, right? So you're going to clash sometimes. And there's always not going to be a situation where every time someone's right or someone's wrong. And a lot of the times, the backlash I got in daily journalism, I felt was unwarranted or unjustified. And I still feel that way. But at least I can kind of understand their perspective a little better.
Please make sure you like, subscribe, do all the things those digital tech lords love.
Hey, Detoxers. Thanks again for tuning in. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow Disinfo Detox wherever you get your podcasts. Detox complete.